Hi guys, so we've opened up Blender now, and this is kind of a default scene. This won't be like a deep dive into Blender, this is kind of just looking at the camera tracking. So we'll kind of move in and out a few different things through different kind of windows. But we are going to be using Blender as it will be an option for camera tracking as well as Nuke. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to plus, and I'm going to go to the motion tracker, and this kind of brings this up. So this is kind of what we're kind of working with. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to just open up my clip. I'm going to go to VFX integration. I've got a backplate and click on there, and there should be one called denoised in there as well. Let's have a look. Denoised, open clip. So that should bring that in. It looks a little bit weird. Just need to set it to ACES 2065. That's what we output it out now. It should look really nice. Next thing we need to do is just remember we rendered it out at 1001. So I need to make sure this starts at 1001, like so. Then we need to set a few things up here as well. So set this to 1001. Set this to 1200, like so. Then we want to kind of view that range down here. At the minute it's set to 1 by default. So let's go to view. Let's go to frame all and sync visible range. We'll click on that as well. You can kind of zoom in and out if you like, just by doing the middle mouse. So you might want to do that. I like kind of to just see a little bit outside that range. Now we can come up to view up here, and then we can just use synced visible range, and then there you go, kind of the same thing. So we're kind of set up now pretty much. Next thing I want to do is I want to go to my track option on this side. I go to camera and just set a few different bits and pieces. So I'm going to set the lens, some lens information. So this is important. So I'm going to go to lens distortion nuke. I'm going to set that up, and I'm also going to put in the focal length, which is 28 mil. That's the one that's been captured from the Blackmagic. So I used the Blackmagic app that you can download off the App Store, and in that app it actually shows you the focal length, and that's the focal length that I've got. I'm actually going to use some default settings here. I'm going to go for a Blackmagic 4K as just a starting point, and that will bring in this kind of preset. Now, it has altered the focal length based on the sensor. That's the equivalent focal length for that sensor. Now, this is actually this is bigger than the actual iPad sensor, but I couldn't really find any concrete information about the iPad sensor. If you do, make sure you put that in, but I'm just kind of happy with that sensor. That's fine. We can change it as we go as well. That's absolutely fine. So this is our plate. Now, before, obviously, we've also got a lens grid as well that we could use. So we could solve the lens as well if we wanted to. But for now, what we'll do is we'll just kind of track it like we've got no data. So we'll kind of do that. So the only thing we've kind of got is maybe we could work out the size of this table. So it looks like a square table, and we'll just kind of get some dimensions there. I'll probably say 1 meter, probably. That's probably how big it is. So we are going to kind of look at it like we've got no data. So apart from kind of just guessing like, TV size or plug socket size, that sort of thing would help us for scale. So we're not going to use the lens grid for this. Blender does quite a good job actually of working out lens for us anyway, which is pretty cool. So we'll just see what Blender comes up with. There's lots of straight edges here, so Blender will have we'll find it relatively straightforward to work out distortion because there's lots of straight edges. So let's go to track, and then if we go to prefetch scene, this will actually cache the shot. What I'm actually going to do is go to save as, and I'm just going to it's going to literally just do a version up on this. Go to save as, and then that should now Yeah, that's the track, which is great. Okay, let's just make sure we can actually see this. There you go. So if you do go off, you obviously you won't be playing that. But that's pretty much good to go now. It's caching there, pre-fetching, which means it will cache it and it'll play better. The next thing that we want to double check is we need to check a couple of things. So the first thing I want to make sure is click on this clip display, and we've got render undistorted, so make sure we've got that. And we also want to tick on this search box. This is to do with the actual trackers themselves. So it's worth having. I mean, click in info as well if you want a bit of information about the tracks. Yeah, so this stuff can be turned on and off, but obviously we want to calculate the distortion as well on there. Cool. So we're pretty much good to go now. We've got the footage here. We've brought that in, which is good. We can actually do a proxy as well of our plate. So we can do like a nice proxy and do like a low res render, but we're just going to leave it as is, to be honest, at the minute, which is good. We've also got there's actually an option for like the scene. We've got like units here, so by default the units in Blender are meters, so be mindful of that. When you actually make a default object like this cube is 2 meters by 2 meters, which is a bit weird. You think it'd just be 1 meter squared, but yeah, it's a little bit strange, to be honest. So it's in meters, and when you generate a cube, it's 2 meters. So just be mindful of that. But there is things we can do to check the size and everything else. So that's where you can change the units, if you like, if you go to the scene option there. Cool. So we're pretty much ready to kind of start tracking. So everything's pretty much sorted. The color space is sorted there. We just quickly check everything else. We won't be looking into the nukes. Obviously, this is set up for doing this lens distortion. So one other thing actually is quite important. If we go to preferences, if I just bring this over, we've got a key map and set this to industry compatible. So that's like my controls. I prefer that. I probably will move to the Blender workflow at some point, but I'm happy with that. So that's important. The other thing you want to do is we need to have this is like a plugin that's been added. So this is like a tracker plugin. So this allows us to copy lens distortion and copy points and do all sorts of stuff. So if we want to take it to Nuke for a more accurate solve, we can. You can't survey data in Blender, so you can't connect your points to 3D Geo, like you would do in Nuke and like 3D Equalizer. You can't do it. So, but it's a pretty good solver. So, we're going to look at this like we've got no data, because it's a fairly good option. The actual camera tracker itself is very good. It just hasn't got some more advanced functionality. So to add these plugins, you just go to preferences, and then if you just move this across again so you can see it, we've got get extensions, and then we can literally, we've got add-ons there, sorry. We can click here, we can refresh local, we can do that, so that will refresh anything we've got locally. And yeah, so you should be able to, if I just go to get extensions, this will actually allow us this will actually connect to the internet and add all these extensions in, which is pretty cool. So, and then basically all you do is, if I go down to the tracker in Nuke, obviously that's actually enabled at the minute, but you've got all these you can install. So if you go to obviously tracker, well, it's already installed, but we can uninstall it. So we could uninstall it. So now it's obviously not there. and then obviously we hit install, and that should appear. And then if we look now, that's there. So, and these are all the add-ons that are available on through the repositories. So you just need to make sure you click on repositories and then check for updates and start up, and they'll all appear. And you basically search for the tracker here and then install it essentially. And there you go, cool. So in the next video, we'll have a look. We'll do one more check, and we'll then start tracking. Great.